Scientists from around the world have created a colony with a government on Mars. The colony on Mars is a carefully balanced biodome with little to no contact to Earth. There are an equal number of scientists from the United States, Russia, China, Egypt, France, Germany, and India. Today we have our field reporter David Chin at the first Constitutional Convention on Mars. One side wanted direct democracy and the other side wanted dictatorship. So the two sides came together and compromised on a democratic dictatorship. Now, let's go over to our field reporter, David Chin.
Greetings, people of Earth. Today is Seoul 2070, or November 12, 2044, in Earth time. Here, we have the Chief Executive Officer of China, Quincy Edabari. Now, why did you want a democratic dictatorship rather than a democracy? In other words, what are the issues with democracy that benefits a democratic dictator?
I actually wanted a dictatorship with a neutral supreme leader, similar to the one that I'm familiar with in China for many reasons. But a democratic dictatorship is just as good. This is because I believe that it is the single fastest way to pass laws and ration food effectively without being opposed by many other people, with many different beliefs. We did not choose a pure direct democracy for very solid reasons. For example, with all the diverse cultures and ideas of all the scientists on Mars, no laws would ever get passed because there would be a broad spectrum of beliefs with scientists from about 8 different countries. Also, many of these countries have histories of war and hostility towards each other, which would also not allow them to work together in a democracy. For example, the Cold War between the United States and Russia. That is why I sided with a democratic dictatorship over a democracy, and to my pleasure, we ended up with a democratic dictatorship with a communist economic theory, which I am more than happy with because I think that a democratic dictatorship will be able to overcome scarcity and work for the will of the people due to the balance between both ends of the spectrum, a democracy and a dictatorship. I believe that our Constitution will protect the rights of people in the Mars colony because we allow rebellion and criticism of the government, and we also make sure that the leader is neutral so everyone can get their equal amount of food and resources. Showing that our Constitution protects the rights of the people because it gives them their rights to overthrow the government and their rights to the basic necessities of life on Mars: food, oxygen, and water.
Thank you, Quinton, for your input. Now, we have rival head scientist Elijah Dumfried here representing France today. Knowing your relationship with China, do you agree with a democratic dictatorship or a democracy? In contrast, do you believe a democratic dictatorship with a different constitution will affect the biodome?
I actually wanted a direct democracy because we're all intellectuals, but I knew if I kept on insisting on a direct democracy, China would convince the others to become a full dictatorship. So I decided to compromise and get some democratic laws set in place. For your second question, we believe that having a sole leader in charge of the shipments is good because they can make sure that everyone has the same amount of resources, and so we don't waste the resources we have because shipments only come 120 days. I also looked back on past communist governments and saw that the leaders created 2 classes, the rich and the super poor. So I enacted a law saying if the citizens feel like their leader is doing bad or is taking more for themselves, they can overthrow him or her and replace him or her with another dictator. Unfortunately, China added that the vote has to be unanimous. Our biodome is a controlled, self-sufficient ecosystem. In our biodome, we use the communist economic theory where everyone isn't above one another due to the classless social system. This helps to make sure that there is no corruption or bribery to get more food from one's country because none of the scientists will have more money than the other scientists.
Thank you, Elijah, for your comment on democratic dictatorship. Moving on, we have Morty Knox from the United States of America, winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, can you add on to Elijah and Quinton's comments on the scarcity of resources in Mars?
Yes, I can. Mars right now is in a situation where the planet has no food and barely any water. Our colony depends solely on the shipments from Earth each 120 days. Since there is more demand than supply on Mars, we must ration our resources. I believe that we need a strong government that will be neutral and divide the resources equally among everyone from every single different country. And I believe a democratic dictatorship with a communist economic theory is the best government to tackle the scarcity crisis on Mars head on.
Now, David with the Constitution.
There are no representatives. Every single person over 18 gets to vote for their leader. 2. The supreme leader who is elected for term has a term of 25 years. Number 3. If the citizens feel like the dictator is using their power unfairly, they can elect a new leader. But they only can do this once in a dictator's term, and the vote must be unanimous. Number 6. Everyone has the same amount of resources. Number 7. No discrimination. Everyone is equal, and many more.
Thank you. That ends our news segment for today. You can check out their brochure and the full written Constitution for Mars on our news website. This is your host, Messiah Mod, signing off.